Fred Astaire, cheek to cheek. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this elephant in Korea who's mimicking Korean speech with the help of his trunk. So this is the most interesting thing I could find on the net today. So an Asian elephant called Koshik has astounded scientists with his Korean language skills. So researchers report that the mammal has learned to imitate human speech and can say 5 words in Korean. Hello, no, sit down, lie down, and good. Sounds like this elephant's trying to order us around. Hello, no, sit down, lie down, and good. I don't know. If those are the first words that the elephant's learning how to say, well, maybe he's got this whole thing backwards. Maybe that's why the elephants are so confused. They're trying to train us how to sit down, lie down, be good, say hello and no, and we're just not figuring it out. So the zoo animal places the tip of his trunk into his mouth and transforms his natural low rumble into a convincing impression of a human voice. The study's published in the journal Current Biology. Koshik vocal abilities mean that elephants now join a growing list of animals that are able to mimic man, from parrots and other birds to more unusual animals such as sea lions, or the recently reported case of a human-sounding beluga whale. Hey! All right, beluga whales are talking like humans. We're finally having an impact on our environment. We're training these animals how to talk. Meaningful conversation? Question mark. The study's lead author from the University of Vienna, Dr. Angela Stoger from Austria, said she first came across this elephant after videos of the elephant, who belongs to Everland Zoo in South Korea, was posted on YouTube. After making contact with the zoo, she went to South Korea to record the animal so she could study its unusual vocal talent. We asked native Korean speakers who had never experienced the elephant before to write down what they understood. When we played back recordings from the elephant, we found a high agreement of the overall meaning. Dr. Stoger and her colleagues found that Koshik's calls correlated to 5 Korean words. Oh man, now they actually have the words written out in Korean. I'll just butcher them. So needless to say, the Korean words equal hello, sit down, no, lie down, and good. Human speech has 2 important aspects. One is pitch, how high or low a sound is, and one is timbre, the vocal quality of the voice. And Koshik is matching both of these aspects. All right. Usually, elephants produce much deeper sounds, sometimes of such a low frequency that they are outside the range of human hearing, and these calls can boom many miles away. While Koshik is capable of producing these more typical elephant noises, he needed the help of his trunk to morph these into something far more human. The researchers say this was behavior they had not seen before. Well, I wouldn't imagine. He always puts his trunk into his mouth and then modulates the oral chamber. All right. We don't have x-rays, so we don't really know what is going on inside his mouth, but he's invented a new way of sound production to match his vocalizations and with his human companions. She added, if you consider the huge size of the elephant and the long vocal tract and other differences, for example, he has a trunk inside of his lips and a huge larynx, and he is really matching the voice pitch of his trainers. This is really remarkable. So yeah, hey, instead, while Koshik sounds convincing, the researchers do not believe that he has any comprehension of the words he's saying. Well, that's kind of a bummer. Well, I've gone through all this effort. Now I find out that this elephant doesn't have any idea what he's saying. Well, there's a lot of people who don't have any idea what they're saying. They're called political pundits. Instead, they think that the elephant took up talking as a way to bond with his human companions. Yeah, my dog does the same thing. He barks a lot, and then I say, stop it. No, stop it. And then he barks some more, and I say, stop it. No. And then I break down and I give him a treat. Beyond the ages of 5, between the ages of 5 and 12, Koshik was the only elephant at the Everland Zoo. Well, probably pretty lonely. He spent let's see, what is that? God, math. 7 years trying to figure out how to talk, and once he did, he didn't know what the hell he was saying. So that's a problem. Dr. Stoger explains humans were his only social contact, and we believe Koshik is using these vocalizations as a function to strengthen the social bonds with his companions, which are humans in this case. Hey, that's a pretty smart elephant. Animal magic, hey. So a lot of people around the world are finding this very enlightening. One guy said, what's needed now, in my view, is field research with free-ranging animals to see if vocal imitation plays any role in the natural lives of elephants. Of course it does, but I don't think they're speaking English. Or, I don't know, maybe they are. Or if it's just a byproduct of human enculturalization and socially abnormal upbringings. Scientists say that understanding how and why some animals make sounds could help us understand how speech evolved. Well, I think the reason why speech evolved is one guy had, was like, there's a woolly mammoth over there, and he pointed, and then they figured out that woolly mammoth meant something, and they decided on a name for it. That's what happened. I don't think they were watching the animals to see what the animals were saying. Scientists, so a limited but diverse number of species are capable of hearing a sound, copying it, and then reproducing it. Understanding these vocal imitations could help us provide clues about building blocks of language. Vocal imitation may be driven largely by specific social forces, such as the desire to bond for a specific other individual. So yeah, I guess you can't really go on a date unless you ask somebody on a date, right? So you gotta figure out those steps first. And it's very complicated, let me just tell you. It also makes me think that the evolution of vocal imitation may be more successfully investigated by comparing how different animal species use vocal behavior to strengthen their social bonds, rather than by studying the anatomy and neurology of vocal tracts. So yeah, hey, that's exciting. Elephants learning how to talk. They don't know what they're saying, but as I said, political pundits also don't know what they're saying. So, that's the latest news on that. I was reading a little bit on the Mars rover. We got, of course, the Mars rover driving around there on Mars, doing its thing, picking up dirt, eating it, smelling the air, tweeting. You can actually follow the Curiosity rover and get tweets from Mars, which is, I guess it's not really from Mars, but it's some programmer there at NASA who had a great idea to have tweets from the Curiosity rover, which is kind of cool. Also, I mentioned this before, they checked in with Foursquare on Mars. You can go to, your favorite Starbucks, or I don't know where you go, but you can check in on Facebook and you can become the king of that place. So I guess we have a reigning monarch over there on Mars. So NASA's car-sized rover Curiosity has taken significant steps towards understanding how Mars may have lost much of its original atmosphere. Learning what happened to the Martian atmosphere will help scientists assess whether the planet ever was habitable. The present atmosphere of Mars is 100 times thinner than the Earth's. A set of instruments aboard the rover has ingested and analyzed samples of the atmosphere collected near the Rockness site in Gale Crater, where the rover is stopped for research. Findings from the sample analysis at Mars, the SAM instrument, suggest that loss of a fraction of the atmosphere resulting from a physical process favoring retention of heavier isotopes of certain elements has been a significant factor in the evolution of the planet. Isotopes are variants of the same elements with different atomic weight. So, all right, that's a little over my head. I think basically they're just trying to figure out what's on Mars. And we spent a lot of money to get over there, so let's do it. What's the problem? Initial SAM results show an increase of 5% in heavier isotopes of carbon in the atmospheric carbon dioxide compared to estimates of isotopic ratios present when Mars formed. So scientists theorize that Mars' distant past its environment may have been quite different, with persistent water and a thicker atmosphere. NASA's Mars Atmosphere Evolution, or MAVEN, mission will investigate possible losses from the upper atmosphere when it arrives at Mars in 2014. So we got another, hey, we're all about Mars right now. 2014, that's right around the corner. With these initial sniffs of Martian atmosphere, SAM also made the most sensitive measurements ever to search for methane gas on Mars. Preliminary results reveal little to no methane. All right. Methane is of interest as a simple precursor chemical for life. On Earth, it can be produced by either biological or non-biological processes. Methane has been difficult to detect from Earth or the current generation of Mars orbiters because the gas exists on Mars only in traces, if at all. Methane is clearly not an abundant gas at the Gale crater site. So, all right, well, that's kind of frustrating. I just wanted to go over a hill. I just want that little car to drive over a hill and see like a muddy puddle with a Martian fish in it, and the fish is like, "You bring me any water?" Right? Because we went all the way to Mars to search for water. All right, I guess it's not that funny. So, anyways, we're gonna get back to the music. Up next, let's see what we're playing here. This will be Caldonia.
But she's my baby, and I love her just the same. Crazy about that woman, cause Caldonia is her name. Caldonia! Caldonia! What makes your big head so hot? Mom, I love you just the same. I'll always love you, baby, cause Caldonia is your name. No kidding. That's what she said. She said, son, keep away from that woman. She ain't no good. Don't bother her. But Mama didn't know what Caldonia was putting down. So I'm going down to Caldonia's house and ask her just one more time. Caldonia! Caldonia! What make you